Snow was falling gently outside the cafe window when Emily realized her worst fear had just come true. Her Christmas blind date wasn't coming. She sat alone at the small wooden table, hands wrapped around a cooling cup of cocoa, pretending everything was fine while the sting of rejection crawled deeper into her chest. People laughed around her, couples shared warm pastries, and families took holiday photos. But at that table, Emily felt invisible, forgotten, and painfully alone on a night she hoped would change her life. She was just about to gather her coat and leave, before anyone else could notice the tears she was holding back, when a tiny voice broke through the noise. "Hi, can we join you?" Emily looked up, confused, and saw a little girl holding a gingerbread cookie, and behind her, a man who looked just as surprised as Emily felt. And that one question, asked by a stranger's child, would change everything. Before we begin, if you love heartfelt, inspiring stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It truly helps our channel, your channel name, reach more amazing people like you. Now, let's get into the story. Emily wasn't usually the type to agree to blind dates, but her best friend Megan insisted that she give it one more try before the year ended. "You're amazing," Megan had said. "You just need someone who actually sees that." So Emily agreed. One Christmas Eve date, one chance, one tiny spark of hope. She spent the afternoon carefully curling her hair, picking out a soft green sweater that brought out her eyes, and reminding herself she deserved love, even if her past relationships hadn't worked out. She even arrived 10 minutes early to the charming cafe downtown, with its wreath-covered windows and the smell of cinnamon drifting through the air. But 10 minutes turned into 20, 20 turned into 45, and the chair across from her remained painfully empty. She checked her phone again. No message, no apology, not even a fake excuse. He just didn't show. Emily's heart sank as she realized she had been stood up. On Christmas Eve, the night she'd hoped would feel cozy and full of promise now felt cold and embarrassing. She pushed away her half-finished cocoa and reached for her coat, praying no one saw the redness in her eyes. That's when she heard it again, soft, sweet, and curious. "Can we join you?" Emily blinked, wiping quickly under her eyes. The little girl in front of her couldn't have been more than 6. She had curly brown hair, big warm eyes, and a gingerbread cookie half-eaten in her hand. Her cheeks were rosy from the cold. Behind her stood a man, maybe in his mid-30s, holding 2 drinks and a look of gentle embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," he said with a small laugh. "She has this habit of making friends everywhere we go. If you prefer to be alone, we'll—" "No," Emily said quickly. "No, it's okay. I'd love the company." The little girl beamed and plopped into the empty chair before her dad could say another word. The man sat too, carefully, like he didn't want to intrude. "I'm Daniel," he said, offering a kind smile. "And this is my daughter, Lily." "I'm Emily," she said softly. "Hi, Emily," Lily said through a mouthful of gingerbread. "Daddy said we can do one fun thing tonight. I picked decorating cookies, but then I saw you sitting alone and I thought, you looked like you needed a friend." Emily's breath caught. She hadn't realized her sadness was so visible. But somehow, from across the bustling cafe, this little girl had noticed what no one else did. "Thank you," Emily said. "That means more than you know." Daniel looked at her with a mixture of apology and understanding. She's usually right about these things. She has this instinct for people. Emily smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest for the first time that evening. They talked for a while, about Christmas plans, about Lily's obsession with reindeer, about how Daniel was raising her alone after his wife passed away when Lily was a baby. There was a softness in his voice when he spoke, a quiet strength that made Emily feel safe without knowing why. At one point, Lily grabbed Emily's hand and said, "Do you want to decorate cookies with us? Daddy's are terrible. Mine are kinda good. You can be on my team." Emily laughed, a real laugh she hadn't expected to have that night. "I'd love to be on your team." They moved to a bigger table covered with frosting, sprinkles, and cookie shapes. Lily took charge like a tiny general. Emily followed her instructions, adding red buttons and green scarves while Daniel tried, and failed, to make a snowman cookie that didn't look like a melting potato. Every time he showed his creation, Emily giggled, and Daniel pretended offense. Somewhere between the laughter, the frosting battles, and the stories they shared, Emily forgot all about her ruined blind date. She wasn't alone anymore. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't unwanted. She was seen. After an hour, Lily leaned on her dad's shoulder, eyelids drooping. "I think someone's getting sleepy," Daniel whispered. Lily shook her head weakly. I'm not. And then she fell asleep mid-sentence, cookie still in hand. Emily smiled softly. "She's adorable." "She really is," Daniel said as he carefully picked her up. "And she clearly adores you." Emily felt her cheeks warm. "I adore her too." Daniel hesitated, shifting Lily in his arms. I hope this isn't too forward, but did you maybe want to walk with us to the car? I didn't want to just end the night without saying a real goodbye." Emily nodded, heart fluttering. They walked slowly under the twinkling streetlights. Snowflakes drifted around them like tiny sparks of magic. When they reached his car, Daniel stopped before opening the door. "Emily," he said, his voice gentle, "I don't know what your night was supposed to look like, but I'm really glad it turned into this instead." She looked up at him, surprised at the sincerity in his eyes. "Me too," she whispered. He shifted Lily into her seat, buckled her in, then turned back to Emily. "I'd really like to see you again. You're warm and kind, and Lily doesn't instantly love many people. But she loved you." Emily felt tears fill her eyes, happy ones this time. "I'd like that too." Daniel smiled, slipping his phone into her hand so she could add her number. As he closed the car door, he gave her one final look, soft, grateful, and full of possibility. "Merry Christmas, Emily." "Merry Christmas," she whispered, watching as the car pulled away, leaving a warm glow in her heart that didn't fade. For the first time in years, Emily felt something she hadn't dared to feel. Hope. Not the forced kind, not the wishful kind, but the kind that grows quietly, unexpectedly, from human kindness. She walked home through the gentle snowfall, thinking about the way one little girl had looked at her and decided she needed a friend. Sometimes kindness doesn't come from where you expect. Sometimes it arrives unplanned, unscripted, in the form of a gingerbread sticky hand reaching across a table. And sometimes, it leads you exactly where you were meant to be. Emily never saw her blind date again. But she did see Daniel and Lily, again and again, until their story became one of love, laughter, and unexpected family. And all of it happened because one little girl chose compassion over comfort, kindness over ignoring, connection over silence. This holiday season, remember, your small act of kindness might be the moment someone remembers for the rest of their life. Spread warmth, spread hope, spread kindness. Because you never know whose world you might change, just by saying, "Can we join you?"